Okay, so do we choose to live by, and we've talked about it this month, do we choose to live not by the golden rule in this case, but by the platinum rule? Do unto others as they would like to have it done unto them. Yeah, this whole thing about relationships, it's interesting to me that I'm seeing a lot of couples in here today that I haven't seen here for a while, so I'm glad you're here. You're going to be glad you're here too, I think. I'm not sure. We'll find out. This thing called relationships, heaven or hell all month, you know. So we're wrapping it up, and if you did not hear Dr. Peter last Sunday, if you weren't here, definitely watch the talk. It was an amazing talk. She talked about say what? So it was all about what we say and how we say it, and what do we say? I loved how she invited us. In fact, she sort of told us, that's rare to tell us to do something, but she told us to drop the word why and to let go of the word you. So if you want to find out more about that, I'm really suggesting watch the talk last week on that. So this week, instead of say what, we're talking about do what. It's everything about do what? What do you want me to do? Yeah. That's good. What do we choose to do? What do we choose to do in all of our deep, intimate relationships? What do we choose to do in our work relationships? What do we choose to do with our children? What do we choose to do with our blood relatives that are at least close to us in blood? Maybe not so much otherwise. What do we choose to do in those close relationships, our best friends, and how do we show up? So I thought it'd be great to start with, well, why are we spending so much time on this anyway? And so I looked to Ernie. So I looked at Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, that which we practice and teach here, and see, what did Ernest Holmes say about this? And I love this quote from him. He says, "Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the very reason for our being, and that explains why it is that people should have someone to love." And he says, "The life that has not loved has not lived. It is still dead." So I trust that we've all had someone to love. Love is the sole impulse for creation, he says, and the person who does not have love as the greatest incentive in his or her life has never developed the real creative instinct. So see, this thing called love and what we do actually helps us develop the creative instinct that we are really brought here to express and to be. Love is the very spark of our life. It is what ignites us, what helps us be out in the world. And it starts especially with those most closest to us. So we are here to be loved, and we're here to love. And it's two sides of the same coin. Has anybody ever seen a coin with only one side? Okay, I didn't think so. But it's two sides of the same coin, and we have to have both sides. So one of our most basic emotional needs, Gary Chapman will tell us in this incredible book, is to be genuinely loved by another. So that's one side, to be loved. And we each need to be loved by someone who chooses to love us, who sees something in each of us that is worth loving, that sees something in each one of us that says, you are good, you're worthy, you are great. And when that happens, when someone chooses to love us, then we actually feel secure in a place that perhaps we couldn't feel secure in any other way. And we feel secure and we're assured that our partner, our spouse, accepts us, wants us, and is committed to our well-being. And so this is a profound emotional security that when we have that, and we know that we're sort of number one in someone's mind, albeit a spouse or a parent or something, when we have that, then we actually move in the world a little differently, don't we? think about the times in your life where you perhaps either were or were not with someone and you didn't have that. How did you move in the world? Did you have that sense of security in that? So just, think about that for a second. Well, the other side of the coin is that we are to love. And we're to love someone. Not just one, but we're to love, right? And what he really talks about in this book is that love is a choice. It's a choice that we make to love someone. So Dr. Peacher talked about this last week, and she talked about this in the Say What topic, and he talks about this, that, when we are in love, it's sort of this euphoric feeling. Perhaps, we can't even keep our mind on our work. Sometimes we forget to eat. Sometimes we forget to sleep. Is that just me, or is there some people? Okay. And it's this euphoric feeling, and it's like we don't ever want it to stop, and no matter how hard we try, it lasts on the average about 2 years. On the average. You have to sort of see what your average is. And but once that happens, perhaps it's, as she said, it's to get us together. But once that in love sort of, dissipates, that's where the real love begins. That's where it begins. Because love grows out of reason and the intellect, and love grows out of choice. And love requires discipline. And that's a word we don't really like, do we? Sometimes. Gary says in this book, and I quote, "It is a choice to expend energy in an effort to benefit the other person. Knowing that if his or her life is enriched by your effort, you too will find a sense of satisfaction. The satisfaction of having genuinely loved another." So have you had that sense of satisfaction that you genuinely love another? That you love a child, that you love a spouse, that you love a partner, that you love your sister, your brother, your best friend, that you choose to genuinely love another. So when we choose to genuinely love another person, we are perhaps contributing in the most absolute significant way that we can to another person's life. And he likens this to a love tank. Our love tanks are either full or they're empty. Where are y'all right now in your love tank? Okay, a couple of fulls in here. That was F-U-L-L. Clear? Tennessee accent can trip me up sometimes. When our love tank is full, when we contribute to someone else's love tank being full, it's perhaps the most significant thing we can do for their life. So he says in his book, when your partner's or spouse's emotional love tank is full and he or she feels secure in your love, the whole world looks bright, and your partner or spouse will move out to reach his or her highest potential. So imagine when you are choosing to love them and their tank is full, they are going out into the world and they are able to reach their highest potential. I think that's amazing. I see some of y'all bumping into each other real lovingly. I see some of y'all sitting still. Okay, well, we're going to move on. So, still, sorry. Told ya. Love is, I have to practice those words. Love is lifting the other person so they can have the absolute best experience in their life, so that they feel happy, so that they feel satisfied. And it's just awesome when we get to do that. Yes? Yes. Good. So I started imagining, like, what if someone's love tank was filled all the time? What if everyone's love tank on this planet was filled all the time? Just begin to imagine that. Because I imagine that the world would be different. real different right now. You know, because again, Ernest Holmes is telling us that we get to express our most creative self in that environment. And so I imagine that there would be even more creative ideas on the planet. There would be even more medical advances, perhaps, if everyone was full in their love tank. You know, I imagine that, imagine the farmers and anybody that had anything to do with the food we put in our mouth, if everyone involved in that process, their love tank was full. I wonder if there'd be any violence at all, or any abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, if all of our love tanks were full. This is an important topic, and it begins with each of us. So, I think, perhaps, you can help me out here, but I think we've sort of been standing around waiting and hoping that someone will fill our emotional love tank. Fill me up, please. Will you fill me up? Will you fill me up? Hey, will you fill me up? Will you fill me up? And we're constantly looking for someone to fill us up and to fill up our love tank. Well, first of all, no one's responsible to fill me up. You know, from a spiritual standpoint, I am the only person to fill myself up. And it's up to me to fill myself up. That's why we spend a lot of time talking about spiritual principles and teaching them here. It's personal responsibility for me and for each of us to fill up our own tank, right? However, we're also human. And so we do. It's from the human part of us, we sort of kind of need this love interaction. And I can't be in charge of whether you fill up my tank or not. I can't. However, I can be in charge of filling up yours. I can be in charge of filling up yours. So, love is a verb. Love is a verb. It's not a noun in this case. Love is to act. Love is to do. Do what? Love is to do. To take action. Love is something you do. All right? And Gary talks about this a lot. He says, love is something you do for someone else, not for yourself. We're not talking about that right now. We've had other talks on that. But love is something that you do for someone else. And I believe that in reading this book, because I took the homework assignment, I figured I better and read the book. Finished it on the plane Thursday night coming home from Denver. I believe the most important statement that Gary Chapman makes in this book is the object of love. So the object, the purpose, the goal, the object of love is not getting something you want, but doing something for the well-being of the one you love. What if you built your life on this from this point on? How would your relationships change, especially your closest, most intimate ones? That went bam, right between my eyes, right? It's a brilliant book. There's a reason why Dr. Peacher said, I want everyone to read this book for the sake of myself. She meant for the sake of this community, for the sake of every single person in this community to read this book.
And in the world.
And the world. So, perhaps, there are times where you're the person when you come home from your daily activities, you come home and you sort of just want to let your hair down. You sort of just want to put your feet up. And what I mean by that is you've been careful, let's say, or you've been conscious throughout your day of how you're speaking to your coworkers, how you're interacting with them, how you're spending time with them, and you feel like, okay, I'm sort of here and I'm here and I'm here, and when I come home, I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm just done. I just want to be. And perhaps then, because of that, we take it out on, when we, quote, let the hair down and are not conscious, we take it out on the one that we love the most. Sometimes not intentionally, but we're just like, I'm just done. So we could start to vent, we could start to withdraw, we could be irritated. And yet this is the person, if we are in a significant relationship, if we have a partner, a spouse, or a child, this is the significant relationships in our life. And we can just keep showing up like, I'm done. And so what I really want to propose is this is where it begins. This is where we must ensure that this is where we take it up first and foremost, that this is where we practice. This is where we begin with the one to do something to show them, no matter what our day's been like, that we love them. So the question is, do we choose to do? Okay, so do we choose to live by, and we've talked about it this month, do we choose to live not by the golden rule, in this case, but by the platinum rule? Do unto others as they would like to have it done unto them. Okay, that's a big difference. Not do unto others as you would like, as they would like done unto them. And that's what this book is about, the 5 love languages. So, how do we begin to discover those most closest to us in our life, what these 5 love languages are? Okay, the majority of this book is spent on it, right? That's why we're asking you to look at it and to read it and to be with it and to practice it. Okay, there are 5 love languages: physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, and quality time. Now, it's important to know what love language you speak. I trust that some of you know what love language it is that you speak. It's really important for you to know what love language that person that you love so much speaks. It's most important that you know what language they speak. All right? Now, perhaps, just perhaps, you're sitting here going, well, that's just great, Reverend Karen. That's so nice and good. I'm ready to just get up right now because I don't have a partner and I don't have a spouse. Okay, all right. I trust you will one day if you want one. But primarily, you have other people in your life. We're not living on an island. So you have people in your life that you are close with. You have a coworker that you're around all the time. It doesn't matter. You have a best friend. I don't know, if you don't have a best friend, get a best friend. And you need to know what this love language is all about. And you start with them. Start now with that coworker. Start now with that best friend. Start now with that family member. And practice, because I promise you this, when you do get in that love relationship and that in-love feeling moves away, you're going to want this big time so it lasts. So we felt so strongly about this that we want the people of our staff and our team to be at their highest creative potential, yes, that we all took the love language test. And it was interesting. We all sat around the table and we talked about it, and we discovered that there's some people on the staff that really, really have the love language of personal touch. And so now every morning when I come in and I know who they are, what do I do first? Give me a big old hug. Oh, they just light up. And there's some staff members, not so much, really. I'm cool. We have a staff member, we found out that their love language is quality time. So one thing we will not do anymore is like try to do something down the hall and tell somebody something and just keep walking. It's like, oh no. Now we know because of this conversation, when I come in first thing in the morning and I want to tell that person something, I'm going to say, Hi, come on in. Sit down with me for a minute. How you doing? How's your day? What's happening? They're going to tell me. I'm going to give them that quality time, and then I'm going to not rush and look at the clock. And I'm going to say, so there's something I want to talk to you about. And I'm going to take time to, and then, oh my God, their love tank is so full, they're ready to go on all day long. But we had to find out what that is. And it's not what my love language is when I'm with them. It's theirs. So, everyone can use this, right? So, it's challenging. And you can read the book, and he has plenty of examples. But for me, I want to think outside the box because sometimes I'm like, well, if I don't speak that language, I don't even know where to begin. If I don't speak Romanian, I don't even know where to begin. So I need somebody to help me with that language, right? So you're going to help each other with this language, these 5 languages. So for those of you who know already what your love language is, this is when I'm going to call upon you. So if you already know what your love language is, I want to hear from some of you, and only in the love language that you speak. Okay? Not what you think someone else's is. Your love language, what you speak. So now everybody else can hear it, and we don't have to make it up for ourselves anymore. So first, let's start with the people that know that quality time is their love language. Give me an example. What does that look like? Shout it out.
Can we have more than one?
No, okay, wait. There's a question first. Of course there's a question first. You can have more than one. First of all, I've learned a few things. I took this a few years ago. My number 1 love language has changed. Your love languages can change. I'm not the only one. I've checked this out with a few people, and theirs have too. So you tend to have a predominant one. There's a test, folks. You can take it online. It's free, PDF. And so you have a predominant one, but the next one could be really, really close. Like for me, I'm 11 at the top, and my last one is a 1. Not so much. By the way, my 1 is receiving gifts. Y'all are all off the hook. It was only I will say it was only unexpected, like not birthday kind of things, unexpected gifts. But 11 was quality time. So you can have more than one, and you tend to have a predominant one, okay? All right, so now back to quality time people. An example of what is quality time to you.
Vacation.
Okay, wait. I heard look me in the eye.
Vacation.
Vacation, say more.
Getting away, road trip, going to Eureka Springs.
Great. So having quality time, road trip, Eureka Springs, spending time with that person. Having dinner and putting your phone away and not having it at the table is quality time. Staying up late talking is quality time to her. Talking over morning coffee. No more quality times? Yes. One-on-one time. Uninterrupted. Just hanging out. Turn the TV off.
Really being heard.
What? No. Really being heard. Okay, great. Couldn't help it. I hear you. Okay, now, what about for all the physical touchy-feely people? Okay, this doesn't mean it's always sexual. It's interesting. In the workplace, again, it's not really talked about. Well, we come in and hug people. Physical touch, what does that mean to you if that's your love language? Now, I shouldn't have to see the same hands, just so you know. Holding hands. Hugging. A 1-minute hug. Okay, so from now on, I'm giving Deanna a 1-minute hug. From everybody, she wants it. No. Not from everybody. She doesn't want the 1-minute hug. Let's be clear. Yeah, thank you for the clarity. She was like, oh my God, they're all coming. Peggy. No? Someone else? Okay, hugger. Yes. Back rubs. Back rubs. In the back. Your hands up.
Just, you know, just a sweet kissing and a kiss and love my animals as well as my part.
Sweet kissing and kisses and loves from his animals. What? Nearness. Okay, one more.
Cuddles in bed.
What? Cuddles in bed.
Sitting on the same side of the booth at a restaurant.
Sitting on the same side of the booth at a restaurant. And the other person, if that's his love language, without the cell phone. Okay, good. All right, good. Awesome. All right, I want to make sure I don't miss any. So next we have words of affirmation. Those who like words, that's your love language. Tell me, words of affirmation. An example. Compliments. Thank you for dinner. Empowerment. Telling Jessica that you believe in her. Words that indicate they actually see you. Yes? Two-way conversation where there's affirmations in it and positive speak. Great. Appreciation of words. I love you just because. Encouragement. So we get the feel for that, right? Okay, good. How about those who have a love language of receiving gifts? What's an example? Unexpected flowers. They need to be really thoughtful gifts. In other words, not just something that you just threw together. Okay? Deirdre likes spontaneous gifts. Something that arrives in the mail that you didn't expect, like a card. Gift receipt. Something homemade. Give Eddie cookies. One more. It's not a big love language, it is. Surprise note. Okay. Huh? Diamonds work. Just saying. Okay, so, and now your love language is acts of service. Somebody weeds your garden. Washing the dishes.
Running a bath after a long day.
Running a bath after the long day. Wait. Say it again, Marcia. Volunteering at CSLDallas. Might be CSLDallas' love language. Fixing and fence. Let me do that for you. I got it. Ironing your shirt? Great. Okay, so see, there are all these languages, and now we have some great examples. But also, I want to point out something we heard. Each love language, so first of all, we may not know how to speak that other love language. You know, if I'm a 1 on receiving gifts, I actually may not know how to give the gifts, right, real well. So that's why we did this. And number 2 is, even in the particular love language, there's different dialects. Okay, when people speak English, they don't all sound like me, do they? There's different dialects. So, someone whose love language is quality time, it could be for that person sitting on the couch and watching a movie together uninterrupted is quality time. That was an example from first service. But for someone else, that is not quality time. They want to have coffee in the morning. You see what I'm saying? So you need to understand, just because you get to the love language, there's actually different dialects within it, and to find out. So it's really good that we can begin, if we choose, to do some of these things. And again, it's to fill up their love tank. Because here's what Gary says. If you make sure their love tank is full, I mean, there are examples you will not believe. We're talking about people that were not on the rails. They were goners and going to be divorced and this and that. But because they started applying this and they started doing acts of love, or same, that's why we covered both, in the love language of the person that, not your love language, theirs. It changed everything. And when their tank got full, somebody might not have washed the car for 4 years, but all of a sudden, he's out there washing your car and you didn't have to mention it because his tank is full. Right? So, this is just like everything else, or at least the key things in our life. Love is a choice that we must make every day. Just like we have to choose to work out every day, just like we choose to eat healthy or not, it's a choice that we must make every single day for those that we love. And we must choose to do for them, right? I go back to this quote, for the sake of our lives, where he says the object of love is not getting something that you want, but doing something for the well-being of the one you love. And so I, too, am now going to tell you, read the book if you haven't. Take the test. Invite your co-worker, invite your spouse, invite your partner, invite your child to take the test. Gary has books for children, the love language for children. It makes a huge difference. Even has one for teens. I found last night that there's one for co-workers. That's really great. So begin to discover what the love language is of those most close to you and begin to speak their love language and watch what happens. Choose to do love because, again, what I believe and what I have come to begin to embody, that when more people's love tanks are full, if we took up right now that we're going to ensure that everyone in this community ensured that at least one other person in their life's love tank was full, whether they're in this community or not, we just doubled the number of love tanks that are full, because it'll come back around to you, but we're going to do it for them. I believe that the more love tanks that are full, our emotional love tanks, that we truly come much closer to a world that works for everyone. So let's go out and fill up somebody's tank, starting now. Yes. So, I'm going to invite Andrew up, and we're also, because of just everything that's happening, we're doing some new things, like Dr. Petrie did in the welcome and had you affirm. We're going to start doing prayers around it each Sunday. So, I invite us to go within. I invite us to go within to that place where we feel and know that we are loved by life itself, by God, by Spirit, that which is the unconditional love and peace and joy and harmony of life, that which is so unabashedly, fully and freely given to itself, that it does not stand against itself ever. It does not diminish itself ever. It is this power, this presence, this universal law, this universal love that takes a stand for unity and peace, justice, equity, for expansion, for thriving. And so in this moment, especially in this moment in the life of our country, I speak a word for every single person here that is an American. And I speak a word for each of us that we awaken to the consciousness of love. we awaken to the consciousness of unity. That no matter what aisle we're on, no matter what viewpoint or perspective we have, we rise above it. And we know that love meets love. Peace meets peace. Harmony meets harmony. Joy meets joy. And it's in each and every one of us, our individualized expressions. And so, we do not speak words that harm. We do not write words that harm. We find that place where there's something in common, where there's something to cheer for, where there's something to lift up, where there's something to inspire. We choose to be this consciousness. We choose to stand together. We choose love. And so I know that in this, the spoken word, as it is spoken and released unto the law, I absolutely know it is made manifest. And in the consciousness of this community, in the consciousness of the unity of this community, we each make a difference in the lives of so many millions. We know that this is so. We call it forth. And so it is.